I just tell Vishnu I don't want to write a big novel because I may not make it.
Oh, don't say that.
No, man, you go brave. You go brave.
Yes, go brave. You're right.
Everybody.
Don't even let that thought keep you back.
Mutila, I'm on vacation from Monday. So you'll see me at some point.
Okay.
So, and you guys, I can't stay on. I have work at 2 p.m. So after Mutila's gonna be chairing. Mutila, the name of my piece is Keep Your Independence.
We'll
Don't
just
even let that thought keep you back.
we'll go with
Mutila, I'm on
with what goes
vacation
on.
from Monday. Oh, hold on, there's an echo. You Okay. I want to test something before meeting starts though. Share. Share sound. Optimize video for clip. I don't know what optimize video for clip means, but let's tell me if you guys are seeing my screen.
Yes, we
Yes.
see the screen. All of
Okay.
it, yes.
Are you hearing the noise? How about the music? You hearing the music?
Yes, Lord Brenner.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to test it before meeting started.
Okay, Gersham, you gotta play that kind of earlier because I don't know how to do that. So
Yeah,
you
I'm
could
gonna.
start with,
I put Cynthia first. I sent out the program. It was a little late. I'll put it in the chat as well. Or did I?
right.
How do I do that?
I very much enjoyed preparing that because having been there in 1962, I would have heard it. So 63 years later, it was actually thrilling that I was reading this, fixing up the verses that had been sent, because some of it wasn't quite accurate to suit what he was singing. Oh, I had a ball trying to sing it here too. But I figured the recording, that is the best thing, to hear him sing it. So I'm very...
Is it that song he won the competition? That song?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I'm going to read that. Motilal sent it to me.
I remember it.
That. Yes, yes.
Are we ready?
Oh, hi, Arlene. Yes, we are ready. 2 minutes too. If you want to wait or if you want to start, it's up to you. Just let me know and I'll start the recording.
Okay, let's go.
All right, I'll start the recording. Hi, welcome to Poetry and Prose. It's the 31st of August, 2025. And happy Independence Day, Trinidad and Tobago. This is our celebration of our Independence Day, and our host for this meeting, wonderful chairman, Mr. Motilal Budu Singh. Motilal, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Gusha, and we start today with Cynthia Emberge. Would be reading, Calypso is poetry too. So she'd be reading poetry style, Lord Bryner's Independence, 1962. Take it away, Cynthia.
Thank you very much, Motilal. Lord Brenner, Independence, Calypso, 1962. Cade Simon, whose sobriquet was Lord Brenner, won the competition from a field of 12 Calypsonians that included the mighty Sparrow, Nap Heaven, Pretender, the Hawk, the mighty Power, Bomber, Douglas, Christo, Chiang Shek, Striker, and Lazy Harrow. On that special night, Lord Brenner won the competition and took home the first prize of $1,000. Sparrow came second and won $600, followed by Nap Heaven in third place, taking home $400. So the Calypso, I'm going to read it because my singing voice was lost years ago. And then Gersha will play the Calypso itself and you'll hear how rich and delightful it is. People only talking, but they really don't know what the proper meaning for Trinidad and Tobago. Cipriani start the ball rolling. Now the doctor doing the bowling. So let me help Uncle Eric to perform a real hat trick. Chorus. Because this is your land just as well as my land. It is your place and also it's my place. So let me put our heads together and live like one happy family. Democratically, educationally, we live independently. 31st of August, the year 1962, will go down in history for every one of you. Forget racialism and nationalism. Let discipline, production, and tolerance guide us through independence. Chorus, because this is your land just as well as my land. It is your place and also it's my place. So let me put our heads together and live like one happy family. Democratically, educationally, we'll live independently. Conscientiously and constitutionally, forget all this lousy rumor about racial equality. If you're an East Indian and you want to be African, just shave your head clean like me. Then they can't prove your nationality. And the last verse, and next thing again, I want you to know, I must tell you plain, whether your status is high or low. The time has come at last when there is no more colonial rule, I believe. So together we will aspire, together we will achieve. So Gersha, may we now have it live and alive. Gersha?
Well, Gersha.
Well, if I were to get the shared screen, I suppose I could play it because I have it right in front of me. Oh, she's played it. Good.
People only talking, but they really don't know what's the proper meaning for Trinidad and Tobago. Cipriani start the ball rolling, now the doctor doing the bowling. So that we help Uncle Eric to perform a real hat trick, because this is your land, just as well as my land. This is your place, and also it's my place. So let we put our heads together and live like one happy family. Democratically, educationally, we'll live independently. "31st of August, the year 1962, will go down in history for every one of you. Forget racialism and nationalism. Let discipline, production, and tolerance guide us to independence, because this is your land, just as well as my land. This is your place, and also it's my place. So let we put our heads together and live like one happy family. Democratically, educationally, we live independently." conscientiously and constitutionally. Forget all this lousy rumor about racial equality. If you are an East Indian and you want to be an African, just shave your head clean like me, then they can't prove your nationality, because this is your land, just as well as my land. This is your place, and also it's my place. So let me put our heads together and live like one happy family. Democratically, educationally, we live independently. And let's sing again. I want you to know, I must tell you plain, whether your status is high or low, this time has come at last when there's no more colonial rule, I believe. So together we will aspire, together we will achieve, because it is your land, just as well as my land. It is your place, and also it's my place. So let me put our heads together and live like one happy family. Democratically, educationally, we'll be independently.
Hi. Thank you for
Lovely.
sharing, Cynthia. I heard you telling me to put it on, but the recording was already taking up my screen and I was muted.
That's fine. That's
I hope
fine.
everyone heard it well.
I hope you all enjoyed it, because you realized I was having a ball.
Thank you, Gushan. Thank you, Cynthia. You know, when you emailed that you didn't have anything to read, I say, okay, I'll find something for you. So thank you. Did an excellent job. And
Thank you.
that is a message that we should still keep and try to maintain. So now I invite comments from everybody. I see my good friend Kasi, you know, he was looking at his head, and I
Was
just
taking
for
notes. He was
today,
taking notes.
I didn't wear
Cassie was
any.
taking notes.
Just for today, I didn't wear any hat because I was listening to the Calypso earlier. So now we invite comments, please. Krish?
I was in Form 1 or Form 2 at that time, that
Wanna
year.
go first, yeah.
Go ahead.
Vish, go.
I said I was in Form 1 or Form 2 that year, but I remember something about the Yardbrenner winning the Calypso competition. That's why I asked Cynthia about it. Some in my memory, and somehow the other is connected to Jamaica. I don't know why. I seem to connect him to Jamaica. Maybe I thought he was a Jamaican. I don't know. In those days. But I remember the Calypso. I remember when she began reading it out, I remember it almost word for word. In those days, we used to sing Calypso in school. On Friday evening, we had a drama period. Yeah. But I like the song. It's simple, straightforward, and it's pretty okay, I think. Okay.
And Krish.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Krish.
Yes, that the choric line there, but this is your land just as well as my land. I think that is what clinched it for Brian. But I say Bryna. I don't.
Yeah, we say Bryna.
Cynthia here is saying Bryna thing, but
Bryna.
I know it as Lord Bryna, right? We grew up here in Bryna, and so to me that the judges would have given him the nod as opposed for that line. This is your place just as well as my place. I just want to, if I could, Sparrow came second, you said. And you notice the prizes and so on wasn't much then, right? But Sparrow came second with a Calypso, according to, this is my friend who passed away, right? Louis Regis, a very, an expert on Calypso. He was a protege of Gordon Rollier. And in his book, The Political Calypso, true opposition in Trinidad and Tobago, 1962 to 1987. This was his MPhil thesis published, right? He had this, he had a chapter, he talked about Calypso, the Independence Calypso King competition. What I want to do is just give you a taste of Sparrow's Calypso. Sparrow's Calypso is called Model Nation. To me, it's a lovely Calypso, probably better than Bryna's. And you could Google it to hear Sparrow. I'll just give you a tease. The whole population of this little nation is not a lot, but oh, what a mixture of races and culture. That's what we've got. Still no major indifference of race, color, religion, or finance. It's amazing to you, I'm sure. We didn't get independence before. Trinidad and Tobago will always live on. Colonialism gone, our nation is born. Everybody, we go follow our leaders. They always do their best. Oh yes, we want to achieve. We're going to aspire. We bound to be a success. Well, it be that. Be that. Google that. Google that Sparrow Calypso and compare it with Bryna. But Bryna, as I said, the judges, I suppose, fell for that lovely line. This is your place just as well as my place. Okay, that's my...
Thank you, Krish. Cassie?
Yeah, Mutila.
Yes. We'd like to hear your comments, if you have any.
Well, with regard to the calypsos themselves, the two, well, Cynthia's opening piece there is a masterpiece, of course, having won at the very time that the change was taking place. And Sparrow coming second, of course, in that same contest. Both very good lyrics of the time and of the place. I would have been, what, like about 13 years. I think I was in college at the time, and I really don't remember where I was, if my mother had dragged me down by the Red House, or if we were home, or where. I really don't know where I was on the day. And I have never really followed independence to a great extent, and so that even up to today, I'm not going to miss the parade or anything like that. Even though I've attended, I've never really taken it to heart, Love the music, to hear the military and so play their music and stuff like that. And the last thing I want to say with regard to independence is that I have been looking through my library for poetry on independence, and I couldn't find anything. I wasn't just looking for the name independence, because people could use any title to write about independence. And I've been through many books, including New Voices with Anson, Mark Laveau, Seymour, many different writers, local as well as Caribbean, and I have not found anything of significance, nothing at all actually on independence. So maybe it's the Calypsonian who has taken it to heart and who has represented the poet in lyrics for independence, including Lord Funny, who recently passed away, where he won, I don't know if it was the last contest that we had or what, but certainly won. Thank you.
Thank you, Cassie. And I think that that win for Lord Bryner put him in the spotlight because I remember when I started high school in 1963, Lord Bryner had a calypso, Never Be a Wayward Boy, in which he was giving advice to the youth. I don't know if anybody in the audience, George, can you remember that calypso?
No, I am a little too young for that.
Yes, Moti, I know that calypso.
Okay, well,
Wayward boy.
I was 8 years old, so I wouldn't know it.
He ended up getting shoot in it.
yes,
Tried to
yes,
hold up
I
a
remember.
tiny man. He tried to hold up a tiny man, and he ended up getting shoot.
Then he said, never be a wayward boy. Okay, thank you, Cassie, for that
Yes,
commentary there.
I found it if you want me to play it. So at least I think I did.
Okay,
Just-
well, okay, Gosha, go ahead.
as Gosha getting the Vishnu, to talk about Vishnu and Bryna and the Jamaican, I think there was something where he was jailed in Jamaica.
Oh,
The
okay.
check.
Yeah, right. Okay.
When I was only 9, I was a problem child. Mama was good, she taught me to pray, never to be unkind. When I was 17, I made up my mind. I wanted to be a wayward boy. I ran away from school, I didn't obey the rule. My teacher was fast to beat me in class, my teacher was such a fool. So I cussed up the teacher and I ran away. I wanted to be a wayward boy.
Mama will cry for you, Papa not dead and boy. Mama will cry for you, do not be a wayward boy. Mama will cry for you, Papa not dead and boy. Mama will cry for you, do not be a wayward boy.
One day I went to town, a fella gave me a gun. He taught me to steal, he taught me to drink, he taught me to be a bum. He taught me to gamble, pickpocket and fight. He taught me to be a wayward boy. I went to a grocery, intended for robbery. Didn't mean to shoot, didn't mean to kill, it never occurred to me. But the foolish Chinaman tried to pull a gun. I was faster to draw, so I shot him down.
Mama will cry for you, Papa not dead and boy. Mama will cry for you, do not be a wayward boy. Mama will cry for you, Papa not dead and boy. Mama will cry for you, do not be a wayward boy.
Now I'm alone in jail, nobody to stand my bail. I know that I missed the joys of life cause I never had a wife. It's now I remember what my mama said. Do not be a bad wayward boy. Tomorrow is misery when the hangman calls for me. Although I'm so young, I will have to die because of bad company. Beg them not to hang me, I'm too young to die. Beg them not to hang this wayward boy.
Mama will cry for you, Papa not dead and boy. Mama will cry for you, do not be a wayward boy. Mama will cry for you, Papa not dead and boy. Mama will cry for you, do not be a wayward boy. Mama will cry for you, Papa not dead and boy. Mama will cry for you.
Thank you, Gosha, and that message is
You're welcome.
very relevant up to today. We have these wayward boys shooting guns all about. So, one other thing, Lord Briner took his name from the Western actor
Yul Brynner.
Yul Brynner. So that's what he's got his name, and the little gun, the little calypso about the gun, were most appropriate. So thank you, and moving right along, our next presenter is Vishnu Gosai. Come in, Vish.
My turn? Okay. So I'm going to read a poem from this collection, Freedom is Within Me, Within You, by Jacqueline C. Paul. Yeah. It's called I Am Who I Am. From young, we are taught by others to speak the way they do. And speech and voice are one, not two. We say the things that people say. We say them as they do. We never pause to think that what we learned and what we say may many times not be true. With my mind and with my voice, I'll speak as I understand. With my mind and with my voice, I'll walk you through my land. From young, we are taught by others to see the way they see, and sight and vision are in harmony. We see the things that people see. We see them as they do. We never pause to think that what we see and what we speak is not innately me or you. With my eyes 1, 2, and 3, I'll see beyond what seems to be. With my eyes and ESP, I'll seek reality. From young, we are taught to think and act the way they do. Thought and action in line with a dominant view. We behave the way that they behave. We think nothing new. We never realize that what we think and what we do grows more and more askew. With all my heart and all my soul, without a bit of sham, I'll think, I'll see as a whole, I am who I am. Thank you. So it comes from this collection, Freedom is Within You by Jacqueline C. Paul. Jacqueline C. Paul has 2 collections of poems. Of course, she passed on some years ago, but her poems are pretty good. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Vish, and I now invite comments.
I would like to say something. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Loud and clear, loud and clear.
You see, that poem hit the nail on the head. And while you were saying it, I was thinking of my time in school. Now, I know that we mimic things that happen around us from babies. We learn to speak, we learn to act, we learn certain social rules and norms and things. But one of the things that struck me while you were reading that poem, it was about that we don't think, we follow the rules. I went to school from around 1960 to 1974 in Tonapuna Presbyterian and St. Mary's College. And one of the things I was never taught, it was to think. I was taught to obey. And if you did not obey, you would be punished. You see, I see you already doing that. So I think it has not only to do with the parents and your upbringing, but it has to do with the educational system that does not teach people to think, but rather to obey. And who does not obey will be punished. And this is something that I think it is keeping back a lot of countries because no one is allowed to question. And when you are not allowed to question, new ideas don't come. And I think this applies very much to the education system in Trinidad. Another thing is, on another point, talking about the song that they had about Bryna said, I want to be a wayward boy, and the idea of following the law and so. That reminded me of another great calypso by Sparrow, the song called Education, where he urged young people to go to school and learn well, do not be.
Well,
Yes, you see. So just to draw that parallel between Bryna and Sparrow, that Sparrow also understood the importance of having an education. Even though he went and he made fun of the education system in Dan is the Man in the Van. You see, but in my experience, the school system, the education system, never taught me to think, and in fact, I was punished a lot for asking questions. This is what I wanted to say.
thank you, George. Any other comments? Frank?
Well, I think, you know, when we had independence, it was 1962 when I was in Form 3. And it's true what George is saying, you know. I left in 1963 to come to Canada, so I was able to compare the type of education in Naparima College, 1960 to 63, and then in high school in Canada, where I was aghast at the fact that students were questioning the teacher and questioning facts and figures that the teacher presented. That was unheard of, according to George. I agree. That was unheard of in the education system in Trinidad. And so I think in Trinidad we had, in terms of covering a topic, we had depth, but little latitude. And in Canada, I discovered we had latitude, but not as much depth as in Trinidad. So I think one has to hit a happy medium between both. And I have a little personal situation with Lord Bryner. In 1960, I was, or 59, I was about 9 years old. No, I was about 12 and very, very skinny. A fellow told me I was so skinny, I only had one stripe on my pajamas. And we were in Barbados, my mother and father and me, and they rented a house on the beach. And walking down the beach was Lord Bryner and a couple of other Calypsonians. And they came into the yard at the beach house and identified themselves. And my mom, she always liked to cook, so she quickly cooked up some curry chicken and made roti. I don't know how they can make the roti that fast. And then Bryner and the other guys came in and they had a little session in the veranda with the guitar and all of that. And I'm standing there with my swimsuit, skinny as hell. And I remember the one line Bryner pointed to me and said, "And your chest fat like a herringbone." You know, so he was kind of my hero since then. And I did hear that calypso because I was still in Trinidad in 1962. I was in Form 3. And we did sing that calypso in that class. So that was my personal anecdote with Lord Bryner. My chest fat like a herringbone.
Okay, thank you, Frank, for sharing. Just like herringbone. And moving right along, I'd like to ask Cassie to share his contribution with us. Cassie Sengo, take it away. Cassie.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah. I mentioned earlier that I searched my library for something on independence, poetry in particular, and I found nothing really. But when I say searched, I wasn't just searching, as I mentioned, for the word independence as a title, because sometimes you write about independence, but you have a different title. And I found I did not find anything suitable on that score. But having heard where we began and where we are, and having been invited and really, thinking that I should make a contribution, I would read something that some of you would have heard before, which is called Prince Street. Prince Street is a street in Port of Spain that joins the bottom of Laventille Road to the square, to Woodford Square. All right, so that is that strip joining Laventille Road to Woodford Square. It's a very interesting street, and the reason why I juxtapose it to independence in a kind of a way is because of the waywardness then that is exhibited on that street there. People come down from the hill, the lots of establishments on Prince Street and so on. And then the people in the square are also free. There's a lot of freedom in there where people get on soapboxes and expound on this topic, that topic. And we know what the square is also famous for where Dr. Williams would have spoken, first of all, maybe introduced the PNM. He may have done that right there. I'm not so sure if he did it in Woodford Square. But it marks a lot along the way. And of course, Laventille itself is a really is a very iconic place in our history. So the strip that is called Prince Street, maybe one of these days they might change it, but it's still Prince Street. And I will read the poem. Prince Street is, just making sure, is everybody hearing me all right? Just kind of raise your hand. Right, Ali, I see Ali bowing there. Prince Street is pandemonium, pelting bottle and stone, parting fight. Is pedestrians passing and pushing other pedestrians, pickpockets pouncing on passers-by, pushers in apartments peddling potent drugs. Prince Street is poker-faced drunks pretending purity, prostitutes playing prude, spotty-foot pearl sparrow sing bout. Is boys pitching with girls, boys petting boys, girls peeping. Prince Street is pissing on painted walls, walls peeling. Is black people pacing up and down steps, prying into bars, shooting across pavements, a panorama of movement and sound. Prince Street is pubs playing posh, providing pure funk. Is man beating man, woman beating pan, panties washing in pools of putrid water, is a permanent prancing to the popular records that's spinning. Prince Street is pone eating, penny sweet bread for 10 cents, pans of corn and châtain, plenty pudding. Prince Street is poor guts. Prince Street is profit. Quailo baking pan, number selling parts, American stores peddling furniture. Prince Street is poor souls. It's passive resistance, part of the plan to keep Black people in place. The price paid for a prime minister's playground. Prince Street does not beg pardon. Prince Street is Peter pay for Paul and Paul pay for all. His pens and pencils pilfered from poor vendors. Prince Street is plaiting here, patting here, pressing here, parting here, painting cheeks, polishing nails, portraying pulchritude. Pretty please, Prince Street is positively proud. His private cars and pirate taxis plying routes with paying passengers, preachers pealing bells, proscribing poor people. Prince Street is eternal pain with petty crimes. Then Prince Street is penetrated. Police informers playing police. Police passing pay packets to possible partners. Pigs in plain clothes parading. Police cars patrolling in Prince Street. Prince Street is pollution, pneumonia and polio, public punishment. Prince Street is the prototype of Port of Spain, proof of the poor state of the entire place, paradise searching, paradise penetrating. But Prince Street possesses potential, endless potential, to put an end to political pressure putters. Its past you can't push aside. Its present pinches your mind. It was a pathway to the People's Parliament before party hacks padlocked Prince Street out. Pity Prince Street, the pariah. Prince Street is a poem, a play, a people's theater. It is polemic too. Prince Street is prepared to partake in the people's war. Power to the princes and princesses of Prince Street. Thank you.
Thank you, Cassie, for taking us way back and talking about Prince Street and, and the particular play on the P. So I'd like to invite comments. Arlene looks like she's dying to say something. Come in, Arlene.
Hey, hello everyone. Well, Prince Street, I love that line, Prince Street is power, because what I was hearing so much is the activity of Prince Street, and good or bad, no judgment made. It's just that it's alive. And as I'm listening to all of, the first piece that Cynthia did, which I was like loving, looking at her, enjoying how she was enjoying the piece. I'm just going to throw my little line out and then I'm going to leave. Okay, 63 years later, how is this one nation for all? I mean, okay, I'm not there. I'm not, my foot is still in Trinidad and my heart is still there. But I wonder, especially when I come there, how are we all this paradise and everybody is together? I'm just throwing that out. I mean, we don't have to talk about it, but as I listen to all of this, I can't help but think about, yes, back in 1962, when there seemed to have been so much hope, I just wonder where we are now. I think we have improved. I think we have come a long way. It's great to see a woman up there. As a woman, it's great to see that, but I just throw that out. But that's it. Thank you, Cassie. I love that. Thank you.
Can I say
Anybody
something
else?
about Prince
Go ahead,
Street?
George.
Now, I am a pan man, okay? I've been playing pan for 50 years. And Prince Street is a very special street when it comes to pan. Prince Street was the home of the original band called Red Army. I don't know if you have heard of this band. This was the first steel band that when they started to have panorama and so, the rebels in Red Army told the other steel bands, we are not going to play until they increase the prize money. So when you are talking about the original rebels in steel band, they come from Prince Street, the Red Army. Now, some of them, they were, they were not well behaved and so, but they were one of the first steel bands to tour out of Trinidad. They went to Guyana. But of course, they had some kind of thing with somebody, with some woman and so, and they started fighting and they get locked up. They put the whole band in jail in Guyana. But Prince Street was the original rebel band, Red Army. Now, another thing is that Prince Street didn't stop at Woodford Square. Prince Street continued through the Red House and on the other side, and it became what they call Sackville Street. And Sackville Street, it went down to the area around Charles Street and between Duke Street and Sackville Street, you had Charles Street and you had Scott Bush Street and so. And that area is the area that is known as Cobo Town. I don't know if you know about this. And this is where a lot of steel band history is written. And one of the things that happened was that when the Red Army from Prince Street decided to close up in Prince Street, half of the band moved over to Sackville Street and they formed the band called Merrymakers that went on tour from Trinidad in 1962. And they went on tour in Germany to entertain the American troops in Germany. And out of that band, some of the people stayed on. And one of the people in that band, he's still alive, he lives here in Copenhagen, Rudy Smith. They are the people who started to play jazz on pan in the 60s. So there's a connection between Prince Street and Red Army and Melody Makers and pan in Europe and pan jazz. All that comes from Prince Street. That is just a piece of pan history.
Thank you, George, for that piece of history. Talking about Prince Street, and it reminds me when I was just about 18. I started a job in the Tainted Power Station. Country boy from Pinal, come to work in town, and some of the fellas wanted to take me to another street called George Street. I don't know if you know anything about George Street. Okay, so thank you for that. And any other comments, Cynthia? You want to add something?
No, not at this time. But I'm learning a lot more. Thank you.
Thank you. Indeed, we all learning. So, moving right along.
I just want to
I will
add,
ask.
Moti,
Yeah.
I just want to add the poem, what the poem is about. It's defining life and trying to define or defining life. The poet defining life in Port of Spain. Prince Street is. And it is interesting that you just mentioned George, because I grew up in Belmont and I know these streets. I passed through them. Prince Street, George Street, Henry Street, Observatory Street. And I think what we could do is use Prince Street, as Arlene was wondering, use Prince Street as a kind of a symbol of the streets that we have in Port of Spain. And the question is that Arlene asked is it the same? Is it the same? To what extent have we moved from that position? Because I noticed there were a lot of negatives. There were a lot of negatives that the poet was enunciating in that poem. I was waiting for some positives. I started to get some when he talked about the potential. And as George also just mentioned, the link with Pan, the cultural part of it, the link with Pan. So I just want to say, when I think of Prince, I could think of George, I could think of Observatory Street, I could think of Henry Street, and other streets in Port of Spain. There's Duke, there's Frederick, there's Charlotte. I don't pass Charlotte Street anymore. When I go to my relatives in Belmont, I bypass Charlotte Street. I take Piccadilly Street and I come on to by St. Joseph there, and up the road. I get out as fast as I can from Port of Spain. Arlene?
May I ask you something? Why do you avoid those streets?
Why do I avoid Charlotte Street? Charlotte Street has been relabeled Chinatown. Chinatown. Yeah. It's easy. It's quite easy. You know, they say life is short, and you could lose it in a number of ways. You pass through Charlotte Street, and if you survive, you have to say, thank God I survived.
I passed through. I passed through Charlotte Street once. I drove down, and I don't want to pass again. I sent the glass up. Everybody was just close to you like that. Stalls all over the place, and you are going down there and scared like hell. No, I agree with Krishna. Don't pass there. Pass somewhere else.
Yes, I take my chance with Observatory Street because I grew up walking Observatory Street to Port of Spain and so. But I take my chance. That is where the famous Dr. Rat used to be. Cassie could bear me out on that. I saw the Dr. Rat in person. See? But I do take my chance on Observatory Street.
Thank you, Krish.
There's a post on the chat from Alana, Malindi from Lancaster, and she says, I'm smiling here as we have streets with the same name and in the same area, except Observatory Street. But I suppose, that is on account of colonialism and so on. But when I read that, it reminded me that Professor Gordon Roller posted Prince Street in an anthology called Caribbean Voices. I mentioned this already, maybe in this group also, that Gordon Roller printed Prince Street in an anthology that included Sparrow and Stalin and mostly quite a number of Calypsonians. Mine have been the only poem. And at the bottom of it, he had my name, but he also had Guyana. He being Guyanese, and there's probably a Prince Street in Guyana also. So he had the wrong place, the right name, but the wrong country. I consequently wrote the publishers got paid for the error and that kind of thing. But I just wanted to say, sorry about the all the negatives, Krishna, but this is how it came across to me, and it being a kind of a barrier, and because a lot of the people on that street there were up to today, you could say, kind of outcast, and because they're coming down the hill from behind the bridge, so to speak. So it's still not a very positive area. And I can understand well why Krishna would avoid it up to now.
Okay, thank you, Kasi.
Yeah.
And moving right along, my good friend George Rampasad always have something positive. So, and Chris was saying something negative. So now I'll ask George to share with us. George Rampasad, come in, George.
Thank you. When we had the 60th anniversary of independence 3 years ago, I wrote something about independence. Now, Kasi, you say you haven't found many things about people have written about independence. You would probably not have found what I wrote, because what I write, it doesn't come out as poetry, because I am a musician. So when I write my song, I write a poem, but I don't stay there. I take it into a song. I write lyrics and I put music and I sing the song and I make videos and so. But 3 years ago, I wrote something about this 60th anniversary of independence. And I was thinking that I would not sing it as a song, but I would read it as a poem. So this is what I wrote 3 years ago, but I have just changed up the lyrics a little because, well, now it is not 60 years, it is 63 years. So this is what I wrote. A time for celebration and a time for us to reflect. After 63 years, our nation needs to see things in retrospect. If we go back to August 62, that first Independence Day, I would like to remind you what the Prime Minister had to say. Dr. Williams said to the nation, in order for us to advance, I give you the watchwords of discipline, production, and tolerance. In ourselves, we were believers. We were small but strong, a nation of achievers, a little bird with a mighty song. Having a national anthem, a coat of arms, and a flag is nice and fine, but independence is really state of mind. This tiny dot on the planet, a progressive little country, known all over the world with a robust economy. Our citizens made us famous in many fields of endeavor, in sport, design, and music, in science and literature. But we surrendered to corruption and ignored the rise in crime, incompetence, and mismanagement, where the blind was leading the blind. While honest, hard-working citizens live in fear and in fright, killers, bandits, and drug lords control the streets day and night. Having a national anthem a coat of arms, and a flag is nice and fine, but independence is really a state of mind. I agree some of our problems are rooted in our history, but more than 60 years have passed. We are no longer a colony. Still, we lack clean drinking water. Our nation we cannot feed. Many people are eating the bread that the devil need. So I am begging the people elected to sit in the parliament, both the ones in opposition and the ones in government. Don't take advantage of your position and abuse your authority. The nation cannot progress without honesty and morality. Having a national anthem, a coat of arms, and a flag is nice and fine, but independence is really a state of mind. If we take every opportunity to wail, to jam, and to whine, where everything is a cook-up, a fet, and a river line, if we only think about wine and grind and shaking up we behind, solutions to our problems, our nation will never find. The watchwords given by Dr. Williams might well be the key. Independence is deeply rooted in acting responsibly. This is a time for national sacrifice and national unity. Independence comes at a price, and freedom doesn't come free. Having a national anthem, a coat of arms, and a flag is nice and fine, but independence is really a state of mind. So today, as we celebrate this important occasion, may Ogun, Allah, God, and Shiva bless our little nation. Be conscious and aware as you go along your way. Give thanks and respect to those who paved the way. Let us pull together. We can find a way for harmony and national unity on this Independence Day. And so, in closing, I would like to say congratulations and best wishes on this Independence Day to my fellow Trinidadians and Tobagonians. Seek and you shall find, because independence is really a state of mind. Thank you.
Thank you, George. I love all your pieces because you always bring positive message, and you show, even though you're not living here, but you are indeed a true patriot. So I leave the floor open. Aline, I know you want to say something.
No, I thank you, George. I really enjoy your piece. You know, I kept thinking back at the question of where 63 years later, where are we? And Trinidad is a beautiful, and Tobago, it's a beautiful place. And yeah, we don't want to stop whining. We want to find a balance. All right. We don't want to stop whining. We don't want to stop having that the creativity that is so much part of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. We want to find a balance. And I just want to say one thing more that you brought up, which I thought was such an important point of in school, where we learn not to think, but we learn to obey. And I wonder, when they beat you, all right, what are they teaching? What are we teaching a child when you beat them? If they do something wrong, maybe say something, out of turn or whatever, or a parent beat a child, what are you teaching that child? You're teaching that child how to resolve issues with violence. And then we want to know why it is that there is so much crime in that island. I mean, of course, there is more. There is much more happening there. But we want to know why. Why are we questioning that? You have taught people how to resolve their issues by violence. So, George, thank you for what you said. Thank you very much. I like what you said. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, George, for that very good poem, which we will eventually hear in your music pieces, when you play it on pan and so on. And the positivity of it all, I like very much. Cautioning us not to go for just for the superficial, because the independence truly, as you say, is a state of mind. And, that is what I was kind of looking for in my search for poetry on the matter, to see, who would have broached the subject of it being a state of mind, which would probably help Arlene in trying to understand, about licks and all that. Because licks does not promote independence, of course. And added to what Arlene is saying is a question that always goes through my mind is, how do you teach anyone, child and adult, how to pay attention? That is something that we always ask our charges to do, pay attention. But how? That's another question. Thanks again, George.
Thank you. Cassie, any other contributions? Any other comments on George, please?
I'm sorry, I just want to answer what Cassie asked. Ask the question. People, we can just simply ask the question. What is happening with you? What we don't do is we think that we need to beat someone to be able to, you can't beat goodness into someone. What you can do is you can discover it. We are too lazy. We are lazy. We are emotionally lazy. We don't want to be able to talk to people and find out what they're feeling. We'd rather call them broken and all sorts of different stuff. Okay, Cassie, so I don't mean to kind of get too excited here, but I get very passionate about this subject. Thank you.
Yes, I recognize that.
I have
Thanks, Aline. Is somebody saying something there?
I have a comment to what Cassie said about how we teach people. And I have been a teacher for over 20 years in Denmark. I've been teaching pan, I've been teaching music. But most importantly, I have been teaching refugees in the Danish International Red Cross refugee camps in Denmark. These are heavily traumatized people from Afghanistan, from Iraq, from Syria, and so. And when they walk into your class, there is no discipline. There is no understanding of what discipline is, and so. In my experience, teaching people is being accommodating to people. When people come to school in any class, whether it is adults or kids and so, if the teacher can make them feel welcome and appreciated and create a sense of calm in the classroom, what you are teaching that day, the lesson is not that important, because you need to create the atmosphere in the class where people are calm and relaxed, and most importantly, not afraid of being punished by the teacher. The teacher is not your person who punishes you. The teacher is your friend. And if you can establish a relationship, I know some churches where at the end of the service, the priest goes to the exit. And when the congregation walks out, he would shake their hand, everyone individually, and talk to them for half a minute or so. This is what I did with the refugees in my class. When my class was over, I would go down to the door and wait, and as they walk out, one at a time, tell them something. See you tomorrow. Hope you have a nice evening, and so. They might not have learned any kind of Danish language that day in class, but they are looking forward to come to school tomorrow because the teacher appreciates them. And I think this is one of the things that is important, that before the whole idea of learning can take place, the atmosphere must be created that would facilitate learning. And I have never experienced that in Trinidad. And when I went to school in St. Mary's College, the atmosphere, it was fair. You were afraid of your teachers. That's my comment.
Thank you, George. Vishnu, go ahead.
I work with two teachers doing their bachelor's in education, and I work with them when they were doing their essays. And when they wrote the essays, I look at the essay and I said, but where did you get this phrase from? From this book. Where you got that phrase from? It wasn't the student's phrase. I mean, I'm talking about big people doing the bachelor's program. And the reason why they incorporated those phrases in the essays, because the lecturer will think, they are thinking, they are learning. Not expressing themselves with their own words, but what the other essay, the scholars wrote, incorporate bits and pieces of there into your essays, and the lecturer thinks you are doing well. You get an A+ or A. There it goes.
Okay,
Even in primary
Vish.
school, we are taught, but I was a teacher, and I taught as I was taught, and I pass it on. When I go to the bachelor's program now, I see the same thing is happening. So even at university level, they don't permit you to think. You actually don't pass the exam.
Can I say something about that? Can I say something about that?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What you just mentioned, I went through that in the university in Denmark. I went through the first 2 years in university. And in the third year, I walked away from the university and I told them they can keep their degree. I went to the university, to the head, the director in the university. I said, hey, I'm not coming here anymore because you can keep yours. Because when I was writing my projects and so, what they were interested in is that anything I said, I had to back it up because some professor in Berkeley University in America had said it, or someone in Oxford University. I said, no, this is what George Rampersad has said. But they wouldn't accept it. And I told, and this is why I have no degree. I tell them, I don't want it, you keep it. You see? I know what I know. I have my own degree. But what you're saying is very true. The education system, especially in higher education, it does not leave place for thought, individual and independent thought. You must go by what was said before and quote somebody and quote someone.
Yes.
They are all quoting each other and they are all giving each other degrees and they're turning them out and they are coming and saying the same thing and repeating the same thing. This is what is happening in Trinidad. You have a degree factory in the university. They are turning out people degrees, you know. But we have engineering faculties, but they still don't know how to mass produce span. You have civil engineering faculties, they still don't know how to maintain a road. You see, because all of them are writing this thesis and that thesis, which somebody said something before, and they cannot think. It is the same thing in political science. You look at our foreign ministry, it is in shambles. All over the world, people laugh at us. And all these people, they have degrees. And they're doing exactly what you said. They are quoting.
Thank you, George. Thank you, George, for that, for holding up that mirror to us. Thank you. You know, now I'd like to call on a teacher, a well-beloved teacher, Krishna Samaru. Krish, are you ready to share with us?
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, Krishna is a teacher, and I have met some of his students, and they talk so well of him. So I don't know if Krishna beat anybody, but Krish, you want to talk to us a bit before you share your piece?
No, I just want to do my piece. What happened, Moti?
Go ahead.
I just want to do my piece. I searched, Cassie, I searched my poetry books and I didn't see anything on Independence Boy. And I didn't think of contributing today. I just thought of taking in the proceedings. But while I was waiting, a courier called from outside my gate and he dropped this. Office of the Premier, Trinidad and Tobago, WI, Public Relations Division, press release, Whitehall, Maraval Road, Port of Spain, telephone 23141, number 293, 30th August, 1962. Trinidad and Tobago Independence Celebrations. Prime Minister's Address to the Youth Rally, Queen's Park Oval, August 30th, 1962. Tomorrow, Independence Day, you will be the children of the citizens of the independent state of Trinidad and Tobago. And in a few years after that, you will be called upon by the law of the land to share in the privileges and responsibilities, the rights and duties of citizens. Tomorrow, I shall have an equally great honor and responsibility, that of being the first Prime Minister of an independent nation. I am very happy indeed, therefore, to take part today in this memorable rally and to send a message through you, the boys and girls here today at the Queen's Park Oval, to all the young people of Trinidad and Tobago. Our new nation must maintain and develop its political system and its democratic machinery. It must provide the cabinet ministers, the members of parliament, the civil servants, the doctors, the lawyers, the engineers, the ambassadors, the nurses, the teachers, the skilled workers, and the writers and artists, which every independent nation has and provides for itself. It must organize and plan our economy to increase the national wealth and improve our living standards. We who are doing all this today, as well as we can, have to give way in the years to come to you young people who will come forward to take our place. The nation is on the march. There is no turning back. The road from now on leads forward and only forward. Your responsibility, therefore, is a very heavy one. If you shirk it, you betray your nation. If you fail in that responsibility, you jeopardize your nation. I have given to the nation as its watchwords: discipline, production, tolerance. They apply as much to you, the young people, as to your parents. The discipline is both individual and national. The individual cannot be allowed to seek his personal interests and gratify his personal ambition at the expense of our nation. We must produce in order to enjoy. Wealth does not drop from the skies for any individual or any nation. Reduce production, skylark on the job, take twice as long to do a job and make it cost twice as much. Do any of these things, and in effect, you reduce the total amount available to be shared among the total number of people. You don't pull your weight, and you fatten at the expense of your nation. Your rally here today is a good demonstration of our mixed society. Some of you have ancestors who come from one country. Some of you profess one religion, some another, others a third or fourth. You in your schools have, like the nation in general, only two alternatives. You learn to live together in peace, or you fight it out and destroy one another. The second alternative makes no sense and is sheer barbarism. The first alternative is civilized and is simple common sense. You, the children, yours is the great responsibility to educate your parents. Teach them to live together in harmony. The difference being not race or color of skin, but merit only. Differences of wealth and family status being rejected in favor of equality of opportunity. I call upon all of you young people to practice what you sing today and tomorrow, to translate the ideal of our national anthem into a code of everyday behavior, and to make our nation one in which every creed and race finds an equal place. I give to you, the young people, one additional principle on which to base your lives for the salvation of our nation. This principle is honesty. In your future career, you will at some time or other have responsibility for money that is not yours. Whether your employer is the government of the country or a private firm. Every country makes special provision for the control of public expenditure and for the protection of the property of its citizens. In the final analysis, however, the control is exercised not by the government or by the police, but by the citizens themselves. Make honesty the guiding principle of your lives from this day forward. Let your ambition be the development of a nation which, whatever its limitations, is distinguished in the eyes of the world by the honesty and integrity of its citizens. And so I say to you young people, forward to independence. Do not allow anyone to disrespect our national flag. Do not allow anyone to destroy one single national bird. Do not allow anyone to desecrate our national anthem. They are your flag, your birds, your anthem. It is your nation, even more than it is the nation of your parents. You are the future. We are at best the present, at worst the past. To your tender and loving hands, the future of the nation is entrusted. In your innocent hearts, the pride of the nation is enshrined. On your scholastic development, the salvation of the nation is dependent. At the birth of our nation, 4 of its leading personalities, 4 of the people with the heaviest responsibility for its guidance in the cabinet, parliament, and the judiciary are scholarship winners, educated abroad at the expense of your parents, the taxpayers, the Prime Minister, the Chief Justice, the Deputy Prime Minister and Leader of the House of Representatives, and the Leader of the Opposition. When you return to your classes after independence, remember, therefore, each and every one of you, that you carry the future of Trinidad and Tobago in your school bags. Good luck to you all, to your parents and your teachers, and to Trinidad and Tobago. I thank you.
So just like Dr. Williams here.
Thank you, Krisha. You know, as Cassie said,
Yeah, thanks.
You're amazing. You know, you're singing like Dr. Williams, and with your hair, you're looking like Pandey. So that was amazing.
I don't apologize for resurrecting the ghost of Dr. Eric Williams as we celebrate 63 years of independence.
Well, sure, everybody on the audience appreciate that. So again, I open the floor. Anybody want to comment, please?
Yeah, I would like to say something. I know that speech that Dr. Williams made the night before independence in the Oval in Port of Spain. In fact, when I was writing my song about independence is a state of mind, I used that as the basis for writing the song. And in the song I wrote, Dr. Williams said to the nation, in order for us to advance, I give you the watchwords of discipline, production, and tolerance. I am begging the people electing to sit in the parliament, both the ones in opposition and the ones in government, don't take advantage of your position and abuse your authority. The nation cannot progress without honesty and morality. Those are the words that Dr. Williams had in that speech. If we had followed what he said, we would not have been in the monkey pants that we are in today. I am not a supporter of any political party. I have never voted. Some people were for and some people were against the one party and the other party. But at the end of the day, we have to look at what Dr. Williams said. And what he said was true. The sad thing is that neither the people in his party or the people in the opposition parties and so, they never followed what the man said. A simple thing like discipline. If you look at the discipline in the leadership of certain political parties, you look at the tolerance in the leadership of certain political parties. You look at discipline in the country where he's talking about you go to work and you do an honest day's work, you produce. everything that Dr. Williams said, it fell on deaf ears. And that is why, from being a country in 63 where we were producing and we were well known and we had scholars and so, we are known for our crime. We are known for our economic problems. It is because Dr. Williams had a foresight that was well beyond the intellectual level of both his own politicians in his own party and all the other politicians in the opposition groups. And I would certainly advise the present crop of politicians. I'm not talking party, I'm talking about both the politicians in the opposition and the government. You need to go back to 1963 and listen to what the man said and follow what the man said and implement some of the suggestions that he made. And unless we do this, we will still be working with the same old one-party, two-party opposition government. We will never progress.
Thank you, George.
Williams. Okay? You're welcome.
I
Thank you,
just,
George, for that
Moti, I
great
just want to
advice.
show you the document. As I said, Korea dropped it. Right? Office of the Premier.
Premier. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Christian. Any other comment before we move along?
Well,
Frank,
one thing I wanted to say is he mentioned a fourth watchword, and that was honesty, the principle of honesty.
Yes.
And it is so important that he said in this speech, he talked about, right, in your future career, you will at some time or other have responsibility for money that is not yours. To me, that's the crux of our problem here. A great deal of what went wrong had to be because of that money that was not yours, you interfered with.
It is happening now. It is happening now.
Thank you. Okay, let's move along. Thanks. Frank, you want to add something? Frank, you need to unmute.
Sorry, things have changed. I left Trinidad 63 years ago, actually. And, there's a big coincidence that happened. The short story is I was mingling among some tourists in the area near where I live here in Ontario. And just by coincidence, I saw a bunch of Indian people came up and they had this Trinidadian accent. And I introduced myself and we started chatting. And they asked me when was the last time I visited Trinidad. And I said, 30 years ago. But I think things have changed. And I said, how do you know things have changed? They asked me. And I said, well, I joined this group called Poetry and Prose. And in our exchanges that we have, I learn a lot of what Trinidad is today. Just then a fellow put out his hand and said, well, I'm Randy Black. So a very great coincidence what we met each other under these circumstances. And yes, things have changed. And I'm sure things have changed for the better based on the discipline, tolerance, and discipline, production, and tolerance. But at the same time, from what I can gather, there's a subset of society that has gone negative. So I don't know what the answer is. I know that Singapore, in fact, I'm going to Singapore in about 3 or 4 days. In Singapore was just as corrupt many years ago. And then this Chinese fellow took over who was known as a, what kind of dictator was he? A benevolent dictator, and whipped the place into shape. But I don't think that's really the answer. for Trinidad.
Okay, thank you, Frank. And moving right along, we have so far been dealing with some really heavy and serious topics. So to lighten up the mood, I want to bring in Heather Laltu Ferguson, and she will read her piece on independence. Heather, are you there?
Hi, yes, here I am.
Okay.
Yeah, well, mine is touches on some of the topics, but it's actually a short story, and it's a little bit folksy, and deals more with the history of colonialism and how we bring it forward. It's called Independence Day Long Weekend. Byron and Sando meet up by the junction of Arapita Avenue and Cornelio Street. Byron greets Sando with a big wave of his arm. Right, old man, adding quickly, Sando boy, let me go down by Biggie Lounge and fire up a drink or two. After all, it's Independence Long Weekend. Time to relax. Yeah, good idea. That sounded good, man. Maybe we could butt up Tinfoot Brenda too. She always have a little thing going on. Sando replied, Me I like no 10-foot woman. Byron said. Sando laughed. The two fellas and them sauntered down the street and swan into the local rum shop named Biggie Lounge. Hey, big man, give me a Carib Day when you're ready, and one for Sando and all. Byron called out to the bartender. Right, man, Biggie said, grinning from ear to ear. When Byron and Sando were in the bar, the place was always hopping with the old talk. He looked forward to the lively pecan. Sando sit down at the table, stretch out his legs, crossed at the ankles, arms akimbo, and hands behind his head. Where Brenda? He asked. She upstairs doing business, Biggie say. What you make of all this independence celebration thing, man? Byron put the question out there to one and all. So much of fuss is just another excuse for a holiday and a fete. Man, is one set of bacchanal for nothing. You think we any better off today than when the colonials were in charge? Some people that say we have too much crime, not enough money and thing. They just long for the good old days when we had colonial law and order. A skinny old man pipe up, his observations meant to stir things up. What? Sando burst out. When were the old days good? Maybe good for the colonial masters who own plantations and getting labor free, having people breaking their back just to make them rich. Like you were here, Master Day done we. Byron let out one long strips. Yeah, and the church and them even so-called educators. I thinking about the white missionaries who convert the Hindus and Muslims, and the Catholics who convert the Africans, but take away their religion, language, way of life, teaching them to mimic the white man in thought and deed. Like Naipaul say, we is just mimic men for sure. And as far as crime in the country, yes, but crime everywhere in the world is part of the human condition. My cousin who living in Canada said they have an epidemic of killings of Aboriginal women. The United States have their school shootings. And watch what happening in Gaza and Ukraine, Sando countered, getting heated. Boy, cool down now, the bartender told Sando. You old man just trying to wind you up. From what I see is when people feel small and powerless is when they just commit crime. Them young fellas feeling like toting a Kalashnikov does make them feel big and powerful, even if it's a false sense of power, Byron said. But can we really say we independent when so many of the colonial families who made their fortune on our backs still living and working in Trinidad? Old man asked, adding, their buildings are still here, their businesses still here, their names still on the street signs. He did not have a chance to finish before Sando stepped in, but their grandchildren and great-grandchildren side by side with ours in school, and they have to do the work to get the marks. They have to live by we rules now. They ain't in charge anymore. Plus, people working for them have to get a fair wage. Not only that, we're in a free enterprise society and they have to pay their share of taxes to contribute to the pot for the greater good of all of we. In theory, anyway, if the locally elected government thief the money, that is another matter. It's not a matter of independence or colonialism. In that case, it's just plain human greed. But our government is still based on the old colonial pattern, old man ventured his humble opinion. Nonsense, said Byron. Western government is based on the Greek pattern of democracy. And where do you think the Greeks get it from? They thief it from the Yoruba of West Africa. It's not a matter of East or West or colonial or independent. It's the march of history. And here in Trinidad, we are a mix of history. It's up to us now to determine how we use that history to our betterment. Independence is only 63 years old. Give me a chance now. Colonials were here for over 500 years. Old man continued. Well, we're on the right track now. All you see, they take down Columbus statue here in Port of Spain. About time, Sando exclaimed. Them three ships, what they call them, Nina, Pinta, and Santa Maria, never even come here. And Columbus never even set foot on land when he see Trinidad. He only watch it from the ship. It's pure arrogance for he to say he discovered it. Who is he? This land was here all the time, and it had people living here from before he time. Man, let we take back we history and put up a statue to the slave and the indentured servant. Those are we who suffer to make the place better. I mean, you can't change history one time, but you could fix the lies. Byron sit up and take a long swig of his cool Carib. Ah, nice, he exclaimed, finishing the bottle to the dregs. After he said, Biggie, give me another one dinner. Then he added his 2 cents worth to the talk. All of them who come here later, for better or for worse, make us who we are today. Meanwhile, Sando, looking thoughtful, say, yeah, on the positive side, Trinidad give the world plenty good people and unique things in every sphere of life. Look at sports. Olympic gold medalist Hazley Crawford, Otto Bolden, Keyshawn Walcott, and the cricketer, the great Brian Lara. Literature, Samuel Selvin, and even a Nobel laureate, Naipaul. Music, the only musical instrument developed in the 20th century, pan. Not to mention calypso and parang, food and drink, rum, sugarcane, world's best cocoa, doubles, pepper sauce, and more. Don't forget Carnival, the old man pipe up, determined to continue to be part of the conversation. An artist like Peter Minshall, who designed Olympic opening and closing ceremonies for 2 Olympics. Trinidad could compete with any country on the world stage, adding as an afterthought. But we lose plenty people to other countries, people who feel life better anywhere else than here. Not me, Byron exclaimed. I spent time abroad, and let me tell you, they have no place like home. Remember that 1940s Hollywood movie, Island in the Sun? The fella Belafonte play. What he say in the end of the movie when the white woman asked you to go England? He say, my skin is my country because here's my world. These are my people. This is where I belong. If I went to England, who would I be? What would I be? I'd be an exile in a bowler hat, sipping tea and carrying a rolled umbrella, like them fellas Galahad and Harris in Selvan's Lonely Londoners. Man, that is just how I feel. This is home, good or bad. We always have hope in the future. The mood in the rum shop got somber. It was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Then, braps, they hear Brenda coming downstairs in her 16-inch high heel shoes, a shy-looking Chinese man trailing behind her. I ain't know how she ain't break her skinny ankles in them shoes yet, Byron observed. Everybody laughed. Who's next? Brenda asked, looking around the room, her breast heaving like 2 stiff meringue peaks. Is me, old man piped up. Come, let me get a drink for you before we go up. Byron and Sando looked at each other in surprise. You mean it's Brenda and old man? Byron spit out. Then he burst out laughing. They laughed so hard they choked on their mouthfuls of beer, sending sprays of mist over each other as tears streamed down their faces. Old man, well, good for yourself, Byron said at last, after he regained some composure. Come, let me go now, Sando said, wiping away his tears. I hungry from all we talking. Let me go and find some food. What you want? Asked Byron. It have doubles by the corner, corn soup down the road, or a full meal of crab and callaloo by the roundabout. You see, Sando said to one and all as he stood up to leave. That is what I love about Trinidad. Where else in the world you could leave your house in Mucurapo, named after the Trinidad First Peoples, fire a shot in a Creole rum shop in Arapita Avenue, site of the old Spanish Arapita plantation, with a Douglas sweet woman and she Chinese boy toy, then eat Indian doubles from a roadside stand near La Perouse Cemetery, named for a French nobleman, Pico de La Perouse, who came to Trinidad in the 1780s. Go up Cipriani Boulevard past the old Booze mansion built in the 1800s, Cipriani and Booze of Corsican and German descent respectively. Go along Queen's Park West to the Bossier Gingerbread House circa 1904, on the way to Maraval Road. Wrong the Savannah past the gap to Chancellor Hill, named for Trini Governor John Chancellor in the 1920s. Past the former British-built government house dating from 1876. Listen to the clock chiming from the iconic Queen's Royal College, designed in the German Renaissance style by architect Daniel Hahn, whose descendants still live in Trinidad. We have a rich heritage other nations can only dream of. And with that, he done. The drinkers in the rum shop had fallen silent. They cheered and clapped when Sando finished his little speech. Here, here, somebody cried out. Man, you ain't just talk there, you preach, Biggie said, nodding with approval. You well know your history, somebody else said. Well, I study history in UE, said Sando. But it's all of we history. You know, if we don't learn we history, how are we going to move forward with confidence? You have to know where you come from to see where you're going. It's who we is. Now, let me celebrate, said Sando, turning towards the door. Go on. And with that, Byron and Sando set out to drive their way up to the savannah for fireworks. The end.
Thank you. Heather, you always know how to mix your history and your humor, and you have never lost your Trinidadianness. Okay, so thank you
That's a new
for
word.
that.
But,
Yes,
and
yes,
I
yes.
have the little sweet woman and thing in there too.
I tell you, girl. I don't know how you know all about this rum shop thing, and your father was a.
Yeah, I sent this story to Jerry Barrow, and he laughed, and then he told me, he said, "Girl, I know the way you grew up. Your father never let you leave the front gate. Daddy was a teacher. George, I don't know if you knew, he was a teacher, and he was strict. And talk about violence, Arlene. He used to cane all the boys at QRC. That he's famous for that. But anyway, I didn't agree with that. He was strict at home as well. But yes, I grew up so strictly, I couldn't leave my front gate. I didn't know about Rum Shop. I didn't know about Sweet Woman. But, and I think that's why I'm exploring it now vicariously through my own writing. But yeah, so it's fun. Look, I up in the cold north in Canada, so I have nothing else to do.
Thank you, Heather, and I'm sure that we have some comments. People want to say something. Arlene, go ahead.
You have to
Heather,
unmute.
as this Mutial said, you've put in that story, you've said it in a rum shop, but you have given all of that history. But commenting about, okay, so you're a writer. And so that even though you may not have been in that rum shop and you haven't experienced those things, your imagination, you have such rich imagination. I love your stories, and this is just another one that has just been wonderful. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Can I say something?
Sure, George.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this piece. Because I am getting some interference here.
Phyllis Cassie, I've seen two Cassie there. Cassie?
Yeah, I'm fixing that.
I think everybody has to mute.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry about
that. I really enjoyed this piece because you touched on a very, very broad range of topics concerning Trinidad society, both historically and socially and economically. You touched on a lot of things, also from the time of colonialism to now and so. And I think that if we are going to discuss what you talked about, we have to have a whole new Zoom meeting. But one thing it reminded me of when you talked about when the guy, whatever was his name in the rum shop, said if you don't know about the history, you can't, you know.
Yeah.
And my good friend and mentor, who used to advise me on how to compose calypso, the Black Stallion. I remember Black Stallion told me, he said, George, you have to look at it from the other side. Always look from the other side. And in the Caribbean Man, the song The Caribbean Man, he said, if we don't know from where we coming, then we can't plan where we going. And that is exactly what the guy said in that rum shop there. And this is one of the things that we in the Caribbean and especially Trinidad, if we don't understand where we are coming from, we cannot plan where we are going. And this is why the history of Trinidad and Tobago, seen from the other side, not from what the English people wrote in the history books. And there I would like to say the Trinidadian historians are at fault because they are not writing what happened. Nobody knows what happened with the Hussein massacre. Nobody knows what happened with the water riots in Port of Spain. Nobody knows what happens with the Cambule riots. And so the history of Trinidad has been written by the people who control the country in colonial times, and it still is up to our point. And like Black Stallion said, if we don't know from where we come in, then we can't plan where we're going. And this is why I think people should start, and I'm talking about on official basis within the education system, to teach what happened in the Arena massacre, which I don't know if anybody has heard of in Trinidad. We need to have our history written by our own people. I don't care if you pull down a statue of Columbus and all that. To me, a statue is nothing. You put up a statue of Dr. Eric William and you pull down Columbus. Statues are not my thing. What I'm saying is that people must understand what has happened to them. If you don't know from where you're coming, then you can't plan where you're going, according to Black Stallion, my old mentor. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
George. Any other comments before we go to the last reader?
Yes. What happened just now there is that the internet dropped from me, and I really would have cried because when I came back on and saw Helen is I hope you understand how I put it. Helen is one of the reasons why I'm really here today too, because let me see. Yeah, I need to put on the video. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus, ages.
Let me see if I
I defeat the whole thing. Anyway, I could say it in that I was going to hold up a book called Cascadoo and
Cascadoo
Callaloo.
and Callaloo. Yes.
Yeah, right? No need to hold it up because the author just spoke and she knows her book. But what I wanted to say about that is that I bought 2 copies all from Amazon, not knowing what I would do with the second one. And recently, the opportunity came, and I knew exactly where I was going to do the second one. So, and I invited the family to be on today to watch this program. I do not know if they are here on the program, but I kept my fingers crossed that they would be here, especially to see the author of the book that I sent for them. With regard to your story, I only got the ending because, the thing dropped. And anyway, thank you very much, Helen, for all your good work and, everybody else. I'll try to see if I could get my video back up.
I think I will post this story on my Facebook page for it's quite a long story, but I will post it on my Facebook page for anyone who would like to actually read it because it's different hearing it than when you read it. But Cassie, you can pick it up from there, the rest of it. As George said, it touches on a lot of different topics within the encapsulated in the one story.
But
So
is it in Cascadoo?
no, it's not in that book. It's
Okay.
now this is going to go in my next book. Oh,
Okay,
Motilal,
thank you.
okay.
Go ahead.
No, I knew you were trying to say something. That's all. Yeah.
I just
What's
want to
the
thank
title
you.
of your book? What's the title of your next book?
It's called Bitter Cane, and it talks about my great grandmother that comes from India at the age of 12. But what happens to her is she goes to work in a plantation house, and the overseer there has relations with her, and she produces two children, one of whom is my Laltu grandmother that from Pinal, Motilal. So it's kind of like it's a shorter version of what Vishnu did with Sonia. We're talking about our forebears and what they had to go through. It's a novella, but so the next book is going to be called Bitter Cane, which is the name of that novella, but then I'll have other stories. It'll be Bitter Cane and other stories. So this one will be with that. So and that probably will be out maybe later on this year. I have an knee replacement operation coming up, so it depends when that is, how I can move forward with the next book. But always writing.
Yes, thank you, Heather. The knees have nothing to do with the fingers that type.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And George, as George was saying that writing our own history, and we in poetry and prose through our fiction and our short stories, we always incorporate a bit of history as a background. So George, to a less extent, we do that at poetry and prose. And now for the final reader today, Motilal Buru Singh will read Remembering Independence Day. Okay. Here goes. Thank you. Remembering Independence Day. In 1962, I was attending the Street Race Hindu School. This was the most important year. I was scheduled to take the common entrance exam later that year, the second such examination, the first being held in 1961. Success at this examination meant a place would be provided for you in a public secondary school, and therefore one which did not require the payment of fees. The competition for these places was fierce, and schools in the country areas, such as Pinal, rarely got more than 1 or 2 passes. My school got 1 pass, and the nearby Pinal government school also got 1. There were 2 exams, and one had to pass the first to be eligible to write the second. The first was held sometime between the months of May and June, and the final was in October, as the first term of school back then started in January. The next important event in that year was independence. This was to be on August 31st, 1962. So, as a student in Standard 5, I was preparing for common entrance and for independence celebration at the same time. We knew of 2 national anthems at the time. We had been taught to sing the British national anthem, God Save the Queen. And I think because we were a Hindu school, the Indian national anthem, Jana Gana Mana, which was sung in Hindi and of which we did not know the meaning. Suddenly, we had to learn the new national anthem of Trinidad and Tobago, forged from the love of liberty. Normally, at morning assembly, we would sing a few bhajans in Hindi before we said the morning prayer, and even sing the Indian national anthem before going to class. Now, we sang Forged from the Love of Liberty and other national songs. We said to the national pledge and sang songs such as Our Nation's Dawning by George Carlton Sampson. And it goes like this. Come away, hail to the day. This is our land's great morning. Birds in the trees waft to the breeze. Songs of a nation's dawning. Hummingbird bright, glad to your delight. I miss your scarlet feathers. Kiskiri call, summon them all. This is a day of wonders. O land of fairest beauty, we pledge our lives to duty and vow this day, and vow this day, and vow this day to serve thee. And we had to learn to march, for we were scheduled to join the various schools and scout groups at the Bakal Recreation Ground for the Independence Day Parade. We usually practice in the afternoons after lunch because we became too sweaty to go back in class. With the uneven surface of the oil sand in the schoolyard and most of us having no shoes, this was a painful experience until Mr. Maniram, the new common entrance teacher, suggested we practice on the grassy Bakal recreation ground. Shoulders backwards, chest forward, left, right, left, right, left, right. He drilled us as our bare feet contacted the green grass. Now, some parents, including my mother, felt that all these extracurricular activities were taking away valuable teaching time from the common entrance students and protested to the principal, Mr. Ramrup. A compromise was reached whereby Mr. Maniram gave extra lessons during the lunch break and 1 hour in the afternoons after class. The government and the Ministry of Education and Culture, as it was then called, planned various activities throughout the country. Celebration lasted from August 31st until September 3rd. In the area where I live, bordering the St. Patrick and Victoria County Council, there were school rallies, youth parades, torchlight processions, variety concerts, march past, and fireworks display in every village that had a recreation ground. Of particular interest to Mr. Pare and Mr. Birbal, two villagers with nothing on their mind but alcohol, were the dinner and entertainment program for the aged and the poor that was held at the many community centers and civic halls. They moved from village to village for 5 days and had their fill of free food. School treats, we used to call them sweet and cake time, were held once a year at the end of the term before Christmas. It was a special time for poor rural school children who sang Christmas songs and put on little skits as they proceeded on school vacation, while some of the older students who were leaving primary school saying goodbye to each other. That first independence, we were all treated and received special gifts to mark the occasion. A pencil and notebook with the coat of arms and labeled with the date of independence, a gold-plated token and a coin commemorating our independence, as well as a handheld new Trinidad and Tobago flag. In addition to the regular cake and drink, we also receive a large chocolate wrapped in shiny gold paper resembling a big gold coin. Independence Day saw the first independence sports being held at the Bacal Recreation Ground, which continue to this day. After the sports meeting, we were treated to steel pan music and limbo by a band called the Raymond Family Steel Orchestra. They received lukewarm applause when they played the newly composed independence song, which the crowd hardly knew. However, when they played the 1960 Road March May, as well as the 1961 Royal Jail, the crowd reacted. When they shifted to the Indian film songs from films like Jungli, such as Ayaya, Suku, Suku, and Tisri Manzil, such as O Mere Sona Re Sona Re Sona, the crowd went wild. Later in the night, we were treated to fireworks display, which was the most amazing thing I have ever seen. 1962 was a great year for me. I saw a live steel band for the first time. I saw limbo dancing for the first time. The first independence sports were held in my village. I also passed my common entrance exam and was set to attend the San Fernando Government Secondary School in San Fernando. Yes, that Independence Year, 1962, was a most memorable one. Thank you.
History, history, history.
Okay, any comments before we close?
Well, I just want to advertise that piece is in this book, Aji or Nani Kahanis.
Yes, Chris, thank you. I don't know how well you were hearing me, but because it's raining here heavily and loudly. So thanks.
I heard you. I mean,
What did Krishna say about that book just now?
He said that piece that I read is in that book.
It's in this
Oh,
book.
right. Okay. What's the name of it? Because I have that book, you know.
Oh, Aji or Nani Kahanis.
Yes.
Right.
Kathy,
Okay.
I think you have the book.
I have it.
It's on the back of the book.
Right. Okay. I'll take a read this week.
May I say something?
Page 97, Cass.
Thank you
Yes.
very much, Krishna. Thank you. I'll bookmark it in a while.
Okay, George.
Yeah. Thanks for your experiences there, because that is a little before my time. When we got independence, I was only 7 years old. But I remember we were going to the university from Tunapuna into St. Augustine, where Princess Alice or whoever she was, they came and they put the flag and so. But one of the things that struck me was that it was all this preparation you were talking about, where you are going to learn how to march and to keep your shoulders straight and your chest forward. And it amazes me that what you were doing, or what at least not you, but what you were being taught and told to do, was to march in time to the British rhythms.
Yes.
And still today, when you see they have these independence celebrations, the police and the army and all these people, they are marching in time to British celebrations, rhythms. Trinidadian people who came from Asia and from Africa and other places, they never marched in that way. And I still see our police and our army and all these people marching according to British rules. I say, hey, why are we marching? And to me, it is a form of it is a
latent
Indoctrination?
colonialism.
paradox that you are trying to break the chains of colonialism, and to do so you are marching in time to the colonial rhythms.
Yes.
You
Actually, George, that has changed. They are marching to calypso rhythms and things now. There has been some change to that.
I'm just saying, at that time, to me, it sounds very funny. Because I have never marched, and to tell you the truth, I am not going to march anyhow, because the people who you are marching for are sending you to war. And when you come back and you are dead, they are rich. So I don't take part in the marching, and so I stick with my calypso, and I'm all right with that. Anyhow, I really appreciate your story, and you gave some very, very good insights into how things were at that time around 1962. Thanks for that, Moti.
Thanks, George. Any other comment?
I think
Okay,
that we
well,
had a very good day.
It's a good meeting.
I like the variety. And I want to say that it's a good thing that we didn't all have something that says independence as such, you know, and it took us into some very good bypass, some very good memories, and also showed us something about our individual writings and choices and so on. I think that was an afternoon well spent for me in particular, and I really enjoyed. And thank you, organizers, for producing this.
thank you, Cassie, and thank you to everybody who joined us today. You know, some of us might miss the parades and the fireworks and all that. I personally don't like fireworks, but you know, we at Poetry and Prose, we are glad for the opportunity to celebrate our independence together on this special day. So thank you all, and if there's no other comments, you know, we passed our 3 o'clock deadline, so we would like to close the meeting. Anybody before we go?
Yeah, I just want to recommend that people have a look at Portrait of Trinidad, the Calypso song of 1965. Trinidad is my land.
That is nice.
And of it, I am proud and glad. But I can't understand why some people just talk it bad. All of them were running them out. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. They will paint here black every day, and the right things they will never see. I want to recommend you go to YouTube and hear the full Calypso as it's sung by the mighty Sniper. Thank you.
Can I just add something? You can also go on YouTube and you can see the new Portrait of Trinidad by the Black Stallion, what he said 20 years after.
Okay.
Okay, and we can also
for me, it's
go
on
and
to
George.
lunch. Bye-bye.
Go ahead.
Okay. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Have a nice rest of the
Bye. Have
day
fun.
and happy independence to
Yes.
everybody.
Yes.
Thank you.